This one has an interesting premise because it's kind of a nerdy niche subject matter. This isn't based on a real story, I don't think, but it's definitely inspired by real events. And it's about two cousins who work in tech and they have a plan of making a lot of money. They're essentially gonna reduce the latency for Wall Street traders by 1 millisecond. As I said, it's kinda nerdy tech stuff involving coding, algorithms and pulling fiber optic cable from one place to another. But it's also something these big companies actually try to do. I've heard of them actually moving offices to be closer to the server, to reduce the latency for their trades. But I don't know how appealing this concept is to the general audience, which is probably where the money aspect comes in, because making a lot of money makes it a bit sexier. And the movie also plays a little bit like a heist movie actually, although they're technically not stealing anything. Unless of course you want to make the case that that's all Wall Street traders are actually doing. But they're in competition with each other, trying to find the fastest solution, to gain that slight edge over everyone else, through outthinking their competitors. So they basically set out to pull off this massive complex project. And of course it's not gonna be a smooth ride, there are gonna be some obstacles in the way. Otherwise there wouldn't really be much drama in this. And the whole movie is essentially about ambition and determination, about what you can achieve if you dedicate yourself to something. But at the same time it's also about appreciating what you have, and maybe dedicating yourself to a singular goal can end up consuming you. It's also about how it's really the journey that matters, not the end goal. I mean, these aren't exactly new ideas, but they're in there nonetheless. And there's a surprising amount of depth to this if you really break it down. And you know, I liked it. I wouldn't say it's anything special exactly, but it's very competently made and a fun, enjoyable watch. I liked the pacing, I liked the editing, the soundtrack was great too, and the dialogue writing was surprisingly sharp too, so that brought it up a notch. The acting was mostly good too, with some highs and some lows. So let's start with the lows. I think Salma Hayek is miscast in this. She didn't really do anything with the role and didn't really sell me on the character either. And Jesse Eisenberg is Jesse Eisenberg. I personally like him. He always seems to play a version of himself, and he does that here too. But he is very well cast and fits the role perfectly, so I thought he was good in this. But the standout performance here for me was Alexander Skarsgård. I've seen him in a few things before and I really like him. I thought he played a fantastic despicable prick in Big Little Lies. And I wouldn't say there's actually a typical role he always plays. He's always doing something different, but in this he was outstanding. He plays one of the cousins, the coder, who is probably somewhere on the spectrum. And they gave him this great bald look that instantly made him look 15 years older. But it's a lot more than that, it's all of his mannerisms and his delivery, and just the way he carries himself. I mean, he's a tall guy and obviously in great shape too, and can play a really intimidating guy. But in this he's the opposite of that, just a timid, nerdy coder guy. And I never doubted him for a second, he completely sold me on it. So that was easily the highlight of the movie for me. Just a great performance. And overall, as I said, a good movie. I had no real issues with it. Except for the casting and maybe the writing too for Salma Hayek's character. It just wasn't that great. But other than that, it's still a fun movie, but nothing extraordinary. So would I recommend it? Sure, why not? So maybe give it a look. Or don't. I'm not your dad. But I am trying to sell out, so consider liking, subbing, hitting that bell and supporting me on Patreon. Because I really need to get some fiber optic cables pulled to my house. And hey, why not drop a comment below or check out another review? I'd appreciate it. Thanks.